Weekend chaos. Fires, looting, and standoffs continued across the country overnight. More than a dozen states activated the National Guard. How cities are cracking down on the violence.
Stalling the River City's reopening. Weekend demonstrations set some businesses and government offices even further back, the ones affected most.
Signs of solidarity. Officers kneeling with protesters and hearing them out. The message they want everyone to hear.
Live from WJXT, the morning show starts now.
Dozens of cities are cleaning up this morning after a sixth night of violence over the death of George Floyd in police custody. This is new video showing a large crowd gathered around a fire burning in New York City. It's unclear what's burning in this video, but the NYPD says more than a dozen of its police cars were torched over the weekend. Neighborhoods are in shambles in some areas. These videos show crowds looting a pair of businesses in New York City. While at least 40 cities have imposed curfews, New York is not one of them. The city's mayor says that he is looking for ways to ease tensions peacefully. At the same time, he says the National Guard is on standby. And in Philadelphia, looters were arrested. According to a running tally compiled by the Associated Press, at least 4,400 people have been arrested in connection with these protests. Charges ranged from theft to blocking highways.
In the nation's capital, police and protesters clashed not far from the White House. Tear gas and flashbangs were fired as fires burned in the streets. Protesters were also caught on camera setting fire to several buildings around the Capitol. The situation was so chaotic Friday, the Secret Service reportedly rushed President Trump to a secure bunker. All 1,200 National Guard troops in the Capitol have been activated. Good morning. Today marks exactly 1 week since George Floyd died.
A video of his final moments showed a now former Minneapolis police officer holding his knee against Floyd's neck for more than 5 minutes as Floyd begged for air. Now, that former officer, Derek Chauvin, will make his first appearance in court next week. You know, it was originally scheduled for today, but just hours ago we learned that the hearing has been rescheduled. Chauvin is charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. But demonstrators and Floyd's family say that's not enough. They want stronger charges against him, and they want the other 3 officers who were there that day charged.
States are turning to the National Guard as they try to get protests under control. D.C. and 15 other states have been forced to activate the National Guard. In Los Angeles, the mayor is calling on California's governor to do the same. If that happens, it would be the first time since the Rodney King riots 28 years ago. Over the weekend, Minnesota's National Guard was fully deployed for the first time in history. Here you see troops pushing back protesters as they made ground on a police station. Camilla Bernal is in Minneapolis this morning, where we have seen some of the worst damage. And Camilla, I'm going to ask you how things are looking this morning.
Hey, Bruce, good morning. So it's been a more peaceful and less violent night here in Minneapolis. So good news in that sense. But I do want to show you some of the protesters who are still in this area. I am in the intersection where George Floyd had that horrific encounter with police. And people here decided that they wanted to defy that curfew and spend the entire night here. They've been sitting, kneeling. Right now, they're, of course, all standing in a circle, some of them holding hands as we speak, because the idea here is to keep the focus on George Floyd, on the peace, and really on what they're asking for, which is criminal charges for all 4 officers involved. They don't want the focus to be on the violence. So thankfully last night was a lot more calm in this area. Officers were still around. They've been patrolling the area throughout the night, but they allowed this group to stay here and to continue that sit-in. We are expecting George Floyd's brother, Terrence, to also come to this area. He's expected to bring flowers. They're expecting a prayer with community leaders. And of course, this is the first time that a family member is going to come to this area. So we're expecting a very emotional day here in Minneapolis.
There have been conflicting reports, Camilla, as to whether or not there are outside influences involved in these riots. What have you found out?
Yeah, look, initially the reports coming from local officials was that at first there were some locals who were arrested for looting, for breaking in, for starting those fires. But they're also saying that a lot of people are coming in from out of town to do this. And so the conflicting reports here are in terms of who these people are. Local officials have said people on both extreme, both far left and far right, have been found responsible for a lot of the violence that has been going on here. The president, of course, has only focused on the far left, on Antifa and groups to the far left. He says that he wants to declare Antifa a terrorist, a domestic terrorist group. We're not sure exactly how he is going to do this moving forward, but of course there are people here locally who say it is on both sides of the spectrum, and it is just people who want to cause trouble and who want to take the focus away from George Floyd and instead turn that focus into the looting, the violence, the fires, which is what, of course, a lot of these protesters are trying to avoid.
And we can't ignore the fact that we're fighting two viruses here, racism and COVID-19. What are health officials talking about the risk of COVID-19? Because you've got people who were walking jowl to jowl there.
Yeah, I mean, it is a huge concern. This is, of course, the middle of a pandemic. I would not be talking to you with a mask on at the moment if it weren't for that. And this is really what officials have been saying we should not do. It is protest and people gathering in way more than 10 people in a room or in a space. And so there is a huge concern from both health officials and local leaders about possibly having an increase in numbers. The governor is saying no doubt about it, they will likely see a spike in the number of cases because a lot of people are coming out here without face coverings. And so that is a huge, huge concern for so many health officials who have been on this day in and day out, trying to tell people to really avoid other people, to avoid crowds, to wash their hands, to cover the faces. And this is not exactly what's happening here every day. But that also goes to show that the importance of this is to protest and to really get their voices heard despite being able to get this virus as they protest.
And we should know probably in about 2 weeks' time, according to epidemiologist Camilla Bernal. Thank you, Jen.
Roughly 12 hours ago, many of you likely received an emergency alert declaring a curfew here in Jacksonville. In fact, you may have received it on your phone. That curfew was lifted about an hour ago. News4Jax reporter Ashley Harding is joining us live. Ashley, the streets, they were mostly empty overnight, but now people are heading back to work, and some of them are finding themselves cleaning up based on the damage that was caused over the weekend.
They are, Jen. You know, as you guys said, the curfew lifted about an hour ago. We were starting to see a few people make their way into work. I mean, granted, we are still in a pandemic. Before the pandemic, we didn't see as many people. We would see a lot more people than we are now. Something we are seeing right now, I do want to show you. We have switched locations. We're now here in front of the Duval County Courthouse. You can see those barricades are still up, and there are police officers right there in front as well. Something else I want to show you, we're just going to pan down and show you. You can see the front lawn here on this side has been torn up with tire marks. We're working to find out if that was after the protest from yesterday, and you can just see it's pretty extensive. Almost making its way to the front of that courthouse there. But today was supposed to be the day for all city offices to reopen, and that is the case for most, but not all. This is video showing the Duval County Supervisor of Elections office. It is not able to reopen today as planned, and the front entrance is now boarded up, and the front windows on both sides have been broken, and repairs are expected to be quick, with the office scheduled to reopen tomorrow. They're obviously in cleanup there. Now, COVID-19 testing at Lot J in Jacksonville is also shut down for the day, and Jacksonville stimulus distributions have been rescheduled. Now, the Orange Park Mall shut down early yesterday. Management said it's monitoring the situation. As of this morning, it is not announced whether it will reopen today. Now, we heard from city leaders last night talking about the process going forward to improve tensions in Jacksonville, and city leaders said they want to see an open and improved dialogue to solving the problems at the heart of this issue.
This community's got to communicate with one another. In addition to talking to everybody and reaching deep in those conversations and being truthful and honest, we have actions that we have to do on the council this coming year.
And once again, that curfew lifted just about an hour ago, and things, as I mentioned, are very calm this morning. We're starting to see some people make their way out. We're seeing foot traffic, a little bit more vehicle traffic than we were just about an hour ago. And of course, we are monitoring the developments this morning, and we're also waiting to hear potentially from the city at any point. Of course, we'll keep you updated with new developments that do come in. Reporting live this morning, Ashley Harding, Channel 4, the local station.
And just to the right, by the way, of where Ashley is standing is the state attorney's office. They have delayed now the reopening for essential employees as a result of what happened over the weekend. So 5 Atlanta police officers are off the job after the mayor says 2 of them used excessive force on 2 protesters. Body camera video shows how quickly things escalated. So this happened during protests late Saturday night. The officers are heard telling the driver to put his hands up after using the taser on him and eventually, pulling him out of the car. The officer who fired his taser says that he thought the driver had a gun. The other says that the woman in the passenger seat refused to show her hands. Investigators Mark Gardner and Ivory Streeter were fired. 3 other officers have been put on desk duty while the department investigates. In New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio is facing criticism after an officer drove into a crowd of protesters. The video shows protesters throwing things at the SUV, as you can see here. You see there is a barrier between those protesters and the officer. It's in orange. You can see it on the left of your screen. At one point, the officer accelerated, however, forward, hitting the barrier and some protesters right there. Mayor Bill de Blasio says that it will be investigated, but argued that the officers did have to get away.
I know what happened. I don't ever want to see a police officer do that, period, ever. But I also know that there was an extremely dangerous situation, and the one thing they couldn't do was stay there.
Law enforcement official says the officer hit the gas after realizing there was a flaming bag on top of his car. It's not clear if anyone was hurt. New York's Attorney General is encouraging anyone who sees police violence to report it. Some officers and police departments are starting a conversation about the concerns that people have and are showing signs of solidarity, including in New York, Bruce.
That's where some officers joined demonstrators and even knelt and took a knee with them.
Thank you.
If you remember, this is a stance that former NFL player Colin Kaepernick used to protest police brutality. And police in Des Moines knelt in a show of solidarity with protesters. The police chief says every officer in his department knows what happened was wrong. They wanted to show their support.
Us joining them in a symbolic way to kind of recognize what had happened, that's the least we can do.
And in Minneapolis, the police chief met with protesters at a site where Mr. Floyd's neck was pinned by an officer's knee for almost 9 minutes. He says he wants people to know they can trust the city's police officers.
Our community members need to know that the men and women that put this badge on, that they are doing so in service to them, and they should not have to doubt. They should not have to doubt the integrity and if they're going to be treated in a compassionate and professional way.
By the way, he took over the police force in 2017 because there were troubles within the police force itself, and he is trying to effect change. Coming up in the morning show, we take a look at the pain that is driving these protests and how we as a community can address that pain. That's in about 6 minutes right here on the morning show.
Our 5 powerful radar sweeps track and alert when severe weather threatens your neighborhood. Hours before the storm hits, Channel 4 is the weather authority.
All right, if you've already taken a peek outside, maybe you've hoped that it will be a mild, sunshine-filled day. Well, you can dream.
Mark joins us now. Mark, that might not be the case for everyone, but I do like the breeze out there.
The breeze is going to be up today, Jen, and we will have a little bit of sunshine here, at least for the first half of the day, before we start to see the clouds increase through the day and a few showers as well. 77 outside in Fernandina, where we've got some sunshine to get you on your morning walk, and you can see those palm trees, a little bit of sway there, but the front coming through today will actually increase the winds just a bit. You can see clear skies across southern Georgia when we look at what's happening around the Gainesville area. Right here you can see some cloud cover stretching back into the Lottie vicinity and up into McClenny as well. And then out here over the Atlantic, there's some showers. These are about 70 miles off the coastline of Palm Coast. And those are not headed our way, but as a front eases in and the breeze picks up, we could see some showers right in on the breeze. Right now, with the front just on our doorstep, we're not going to see a great deal of cooler air behind it, but it will freshen the winds through the day and dry us out so that tomorrow should be rain-free. Tuesday into Wednesday, not a lot of rain, but let me get out of the way and take a look at what's happening out here over the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the flow is out of the southwest, and there's going to be some tropical moisture streaming up through the course of the week. And I think as we head towards Thursday and Friday, we might see a little bit of that. Also the potential for some tropical development there. But it will be a steamy, warm day. Right now, temperatures are in the upper 70s, and this is the forecast for rain timing out here during the afternoon. You can see some spots of rain across southern Georgia, out towards Lake City, but even around Jacksonville, a brief pop-up shower is possible from 3 to 5 o'clock into the late afternoon and evening. Not a lot of accumulation. They're not going to stick around. They'll ride the breeze and quickly push on by. But yes, skies looking a little cloudy through the late afternoon as winds will gust to 20 and possibly up to 25 here through the day. So the rain dial shows the potential for rain around 30% as we head through the afternoon, and temperatures will be held in check, mainly some low 80s, so not as hot as what we felt over the weekend. And then tonight, as we feel the effects of the front, we'll get down into the low 70s around Jacksonville. Inland spots, though, might actually touch the upper 60s overnight. Highs today, though, mainly lower 80s along the beaches. Inland zones today will be a little bit warmer across southern Georgia. You're looking at some mid-80s for you from Fargo back into St. Simon's Island. And here's the rain potential today, covering most of northeast Florida during the late afternoon, early evening hours, taking you into Tuesday with the continuation of this easterly flow. So not much of a warm-up for tomorrow, lower 80s, but it will be drier. And then tropical moisture starts to flow up through the Gulf through the middle of the week, and we'll see if anything develops there. Hurricane Center's watching the potential in the Bay of Campeche, and if that does develop, it'd likely move towards Texas or Louisiana. But the western side of Florida could see some rains as we head into Thursday and Friday. Notice rain totals between 1 and 2 inches there. Be careful for some rip currents. High threat for rips today as the waves pick up late this afternoon. Today, 84 for your high. You're looking at about a 30% chance of rain. And then Tuesday, Wednesday are your dry days. Winds will begin to relax Tuesday evening so that Wednesday will have more tranquil conditions without the wind, but also the temperatures will start to warm up as well. We'll get back into a wet pattern, which could continue into the weekend, depending if we see a tropical system develop in the Gulf. That could actually dry us out, though, before Sunday. For now, we'll just leave it weather, though, for the end of the week. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Here's a look at traffic.
Time Saver Traffic is brought to you by Doc Tony.
Good morning, driver. Still not too much to tell you about this morning if you're heading downtown from 95. I'm looking at 12 minutes, 5 minutes from the west side on I-10. Here's a live look downtown Union at Main Street. Not a lot going on out there on the roads, and overall it's a pretty easy breezy commute on this Monday morning. That's your Doc Tony Time Saver Traffic. Bruce, Jim.
When Disney parks reopen next month, visitors will find some of their favorite perks on pause.
Now, what you should know about rebooking your summer vacation and answering your questions this morning about city offices reopening today. What you need to know if you have been waiting to renew your tags and licenses specifically. The tax collector joins us in about 20 minutes.
But first, Black Lives Matter. Country is hurting. Why George Floyd's death is weighing so heavily, and the steps we can all take to get through this together. Talk with a psychologist about weathering the storm next. Two very different scenes are playing out across the country. Peaceful protests in some communities and escalating violence in others. In both cases, a demand for change. One thing is clear, people are hurting. Joining me this morning to look at ways to process the hurt and heightened emotions the people of our community and this nation are feeling is Dr. Courtney Edwards. Good morning. Appreciate you joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So what's happening has members of the black community asking, am I next? And it's led to a feeling of helplessness, asking, what can I do? So what can people do?
Well, one thing that we want to make sure we focus on is addressing, what is reality, that we talk about it, and that could be with a professional therapist or psychotherapist, but if not, that you're conversing with your family, your loved ones, and using your genuine emotions about what is actually happening. It's affecting majority of everyone, especially those that stand in solidarity to what is actually going on.
And this is complicated by the fact that there's a dual virus the community is dealing with. You've got racism and COVID-19, and that's a lot to bear.
Absolutely. It's a humongous, undertaking for us to deal with, because there are so many unanswered questions and everyone's looking for a solution. So this is why we need to band together in solidarity, whether it's for the pandemic or the race relations that we're dealing with. And that is simply showing your support, even if it's as simple as a smile, as a hello, as you walk by someone in the grocery store, but making sure that you're staying connected to those that will support you and uphold you through this pandemic and the race relations that we're dealing with.
To say that emotional tension is high is probably understating the problem. The stresses lead to something akin to PTSD. So
Absolutely.
What outlets do we have to deal with those stresses?
So, you can use, like I said, psychotherapy, talking to your loved ones. You can definitely make sure that you are staying intact with what you would do normally, your job, your religious practices, even meditation. Mindfulness is always a great option. It's non-religious based. It's just basically making sure that you're attending to how you're feeling. Another is introspection, where you're asking yourself, how am I feeling about what's going on, whatever it is in your life? And then, do I like what's going on? If I do, then I continue. If I don't, then I change what is going on around me. That may mean that I set boundaries, where sometimes we become over or inundated with what is going on in the media, and that may mean that we need to set boundaries and pull back from watching so much or listening to so much, even though it is real, even though we are emotionally attached to it. We want to make sure that we are setting a balance and boundaries for ourselves so that we can.
Yeah, I was going to say, setting those boundaries is important. And you know what? You have to be true to yourself. Don't always believe,
Absolutely.
What you see or what other people are telling you. It's interesting. Martin Luther King said, a riot is in the language of the unheard. And I think that resonates amidst what's happening with these protests. There are people of goodwill out there, and their message is being drowned out. And we all in this community cannot let that happen.
Right. And that, again, that will help when we support one another and stand in solidarity. And in that solidarity, some may ask, well, how do I show my support? And in showing your support, it could be your personal platform, social media, where you're going out and you make mention to what you don't agree with, or just simply saying, I don't know what to say, but I don't like what's happening, where you're actually verbalizing or demonstrating that you are supporting, whether it's the pandemic or the race relations that we're dealing with.
And I believe we have some resources that are available to people. We can go ahead and let people know what those resources are. You've got a directory for licensed black female therapists, for people in the black male community to reach out. And it's a problem because members of the black community are often hesitant to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. There are people who will listen to you and will hear what you have to say and help you navigate these very tough times. And by knowing that there are people who will listen, we can all work together and change things and know that we are all in this together. We are all brothers and sisters. And, I heard somebody say something yesterday that really resonated with me. We're not black and we're not white. We are all brothers and sisters. You don't just have allies in this community. We are all in this together. Doctor, thanks for some very valuable advice. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, and I just want to make sure that I say that we continue to have the audacity of hope, that we push forward and be hopeful that there will be a resolution.
Never give up hope. If you give up hope,
Right.
you've given up everything. Jen?
Absolutely.
28 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday morning, some shoppers are finding an unexpected charge on their receipts. The businesses where you are most likely to find a coronavirus surcharge. That's ahead. And showers roll into our forecast today as you take a live look outside right now. Downtown towards the Arlington area. You can see those clouds there on the left. Yep, you know what that means. So what's the timeline? Mark's forecast is next.
You're watching Channel 4, the local station. Live with Jennifer Waugh, Bruce Hamilton, Melanie Lawson, Stacey Spanos. Time Saver Traffic with Lena Pringle. The Weather Authority forecast with Richard Knight. Traffic and breaking news with Sky 4. The morning show continues.
A little past 7:30 on your Monday. You want your dose of vitamin C? Better get it early.
Boy, but it was nice yesterday. Had a chance to go down with the family on the beach. The sun was shining. A little breeze out there too, Mark. Are we in for another sunny day, or are those clouds we were seeing over downtown Jacksonville a few minutes ago indicative of what we're getting ready to see here this afternoon?
Well, Jen, those clouds are closing in on us here. We've got some sunshine early on, as you can see, along the beach, and things are pretty dry. Later in the day, we're going to kick up a few showers. Don't expect much heavy rain, and the showers will be short-lived, but you can already see some texture here on the ocean. This is the northeasterly flow. That's going to keep us a little bit cooler during the day compared to what we dealt with over the weekend. You can see way out here some showers over the Atlantic, and these are part of the flare-up over the Gulf Stream. Not much in the way of the cold front, but a front will be pushing southward here later this afternoon, and it will spark some showers that will ride quickly on that easterly breeze. You can see still some cloud cover over Clay County, so not quite as sunny as those of us in Duval, Nassau County. You get out into Baker and out towards Lake City. Those areas are seeing a little bit more in the way of cloud cover. So our showers are about 120 miles away from us, about 1,000 miles south of us. This gyre of thunderstorm activity is taking place over the Yucatan. Heavy rains have been occurring around Honduras and Guatemala. This is a center of focus over the next couple of days through the end of the week. There's a 70% chance of something developing once these thunderstorms move into the southern Gulf. We'll be watching that because models do develop a tropical system there and it would be moving towards Texas. But for us, what we're looking at here is our own backyard showers pushing through on the breeze today. You can see it during the afternoon hours. So from 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, some showers popping over the interior. Here you can see around 4 o'clock some of that rain focusing over Clay County into Putnam County and St. Johns County. And then the rain tends to shift inland, fizzling out here overnight. That will then be replaced by drier air for Tuesday and Wednesday. So this is our one shot for the early part of the week where we could see some rain, and even still, it's about a 30% chance of some showers here today. Breezes will pick up. As we head through the afternoon, the front slides on in. Those northeasterly winds will increase to around 20 miles per hour. Some gusts up to 25 along the beaches, holding down the numbers into the upper 70s to the low 80s. The further inland you go, you notice here how temperatures reach the mid-80s into Lake City. So today will be a little bit cooler than what we dealt with over the weekend, and then over the next couple of days, drier weather to come. But yes, it does turn wetter. I'll tell you which days of the week look the wettest when I see you shortly. For now, though, let's go over to traffic or Bruce. Bruce.
Governor Ron DeSantis has activated the National Guard after peaceful protests turned to violence and looting over the course of the weekend.
150 are stationed at Camp Landing in Clay County. 150 have been sent to Miramar in the Miami area, and another 100 were sent to Tampa. That is where this happened Saturday night. Dozens of people stormed a shopping mall near Busch Gardens, and a Champs Sports store was burned. Troops will now be stationed at different spots throughout the city that could become targets of violence or looting. Well, Miami has seen some of the largest protests in the state. They remained mostly peaceful, however, yesterday. Some groups tried to be destructive late last night, we're hearing, but other protesters actually stopped them. And here in Jacksonville, most of the protests have been peaceful, aside from the tensions, of course, that we saw on Saturday. Yesterday, demonstrators laid on the ground near Flutho Park in Springfield and marched down First Street.
No,
Protesters also gathered downtown for a demonstration. In fact, more than 100 protesters chanted, as you just heard, and then marched through city streets demanding change. News4Jax was there as several people were arrested. The curfew was announced shortly after that, if you'll remember. That curfew ended about an hour and a half ago at 6 a.m. It is not clear if it will be put back into place again tonight, but we'll certainly keep you posted.
Covering St. Johns County, the city of St. Augustine will start to return to normal operations beginning today. City Hall will reopen its doors at 8 this morning, resuming normal business hours Monday through Friday, so that's about 24 minutes from now. Parking services also normal as usual, including that's using parking meters, payment kiosks, and the Park St. Augustine mobile app. All city board meetings, they'll still be held virtually to respect social distancing. And starting today in Georgia, bars and nightclubs will reopen as long as they follow strict sanitation and social distancing rules, including screening workers, limiting the number of people in buildings to 25 and only serving drinks to those customers who are seated. Well, it's June 1st. That marks the official start of hurricane season, but it's never too late to get ready. This year's disaster preparedness sales tax holiday is going on right now. Runs through Thursday. You can buy batteries, generators, radios, and other hurricane-related supplies tax-free. And coming up on the morning show, meteorologist Richard Nunn is going to join us from the Cronin Ace Hardware in Nocatee and talking about building a kit that fits so you will be ready if and when that storm comes our way. That's at 8:35. And remember to make sure you've got the News4Jax Weather Authority app and the Hurricane app, 2 apps. You need them both. You can get live updates when a system develops and pinpoint your neighborhood and whether weather is coming your way, severe weather. Search WJXT in your Apple or Android app store. A speedy graduation.
Look at that. What a cool way to celebrate graduation. I'll show you more ahead.
Our 5 powerful radar sweeps track and alert when severe weather threatens your neighborhood hours before the storm hits. Channel 4 is the weather authority.
7:41 here on this Monday morning. It's going to be nice to get a little bit of a break in the heat. We'll feel that here today, both today, tomorrow. Temperatures a little on the lower side compared to what we've seen over the weekend. Winds are up as well. You can see the flags and the palm trees kind of blowing here over St. Augustine, where the temperature is 79 degrees and a touch cooler in Palm Coast, 75. Some of us are dealing with some nice sunshine over you in Brunswick and Waycross, off to a very lovely start to your day. As we work further south of I-10, you can see the cloud cover parked over Clay County into Baker County as well, and still a little bit more cloud cover around you in St. Johns County. Flow out of the northeast today will help keep those temperatures in check from reaching the 90s, and so today you'll enjoy those lower 80s here. Winds could get even higher than the 18 that we're seeing outside right now near Jack Beach. Winds will be gusting up to around 22, possibly 25 here, as you see around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon with that flow coming out of the northeast. Behind a front that will come through, sparking a few showers through the afternoon hours with their rain chance around 30%. So don't count on really heavy rain. There'll be quick showers on the breeze, not sticking around or lingering, and we'll make that march into the lower 80s here through the afternoon. Bird's eye view of when and where the rain should be. And here you can see this is 1 o'clock, still not much activity. And then we'll see some showers pushing through around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Duval, you could be included in on that, even into St. John's with some of these showers pushing on by. And by 7 o'clock, most of the activity is over with. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up with some cloud cover around on Tuesday, but we won't be dealing with the rain as drier air moves in for your Tuesday. So noontime, we'll crack that lower 80-degree mark, not much higher above that 83-degree threshold through the day. Winds keep those temperatures from getting too warm, and then tonight into the 70s we go. Some inland spots away from the coast might actually reach the upper 60s. So today, really our wetter day. And then tomorrow, the drier air comes in. High pressure will be building in, and although it could be breezy in the morning, winds will start to relax in the afternoon. We'll see another dry day on Wednesday, but then our focus on Wednesday will be what happens here in the Bay of Campeche. Area low pressure develops. Today is the start of the hurricane season. Right now, Hurricane Center says, yeah, over the next 48 hours, there could be a 70% chance of something developing here later in the week. Where would it go? Well, most of the models tend to drift it up towards the Louisiana area. So this is something to watch if it does wrap up and move that way, we could actually be drying out over the weekend. But for now, I think our rain chances are going to be heading up for Thursday and Friday. Today, just that small chance of rain, but notice here, Tuesday, Wednesday, your drier days, and with that comes the warm-up into the middle of the week. But then as we head into Thursday, possibly 1 to 2 inches of rain through the end of the week here, and we'll see much wetter conditions here as tropical moisture surges out of the Gulf of Mexico. Somewhat unrelated to that system that could develop, but this is just a lot of moisture coming our way towards the end of the week. And then if that system does develop, we might actually be able to reduce our rain chances here as we head towards the end of the week. But for now, weekend, some scattered showers around for Saturday and Sunday, and warmer temperatures as well as we head towards the end of the week. Reminder, you can check out our weather app at news4jax.com, and you can download it there on our website, and also stay abreast of the weather story there at your fingertips. All right, Bruce, Jen, I'll send it back to you.
So I was watching as the NASA astronauts were docking with the International Space Station yesterday, and they could each bring along some personal items. And I'm looking, and I was like, no, that can't be. Do we have the pictures?
Isn't that cool? Look at that.
Yeah, it's like a little balloon, and it's a dragon.
So apparently both of the men asked their sons or their children, if there's a toy that they would like for them to take with them to space. So the boys picked this sparkly stuffed dinosaur. Its name is Tremor, and he accompanied the astronauts then on the entire journey to the ISS. Tremor won't be lonely floating out in space, by the way. Last year, a plush toy globe named Earthy was sent up to the station, Bruce.
Yeah, and they intend to bring both toys back with them when they return, presumably to give them to their kids. You know, both of these astronauts have flown before, and it's kind of interesting. This go-round is the first time that they've flown and had kids. Both had to ask their kids for permission before they could fly, and it was kind of testy when they talked to them about, the risks, but the kids understood, and they said, no, you go ahead and do what you got to do. We get it. And they had to scrub on Wednesday because of weather, but they stayed at the astronaut house in Cocoa Beach, so even though they had to maintain a little bit of social distance because of COVID-19, Hurley and Benkin got to spend a little more time with their families.
Well, and both of their families, as you know, Bruce, I mean, they're married to astronauts, so they get it, the kids do. And it's interesting because I was reading that Hurley's wife, Karen, she apparently is the first astronaut to actually make a stuffed toy in space, and go figure, dinosaurs must be the family's thing because it was a dinosaur, and it's apparently made out of like a used T-shirt and then like the fabric lining inside some of the food containers.
Well, when you're a rocket scientist, I mean, that's a piece of cake. By the way, they did something else. There is a history when it comes to naming whatever you're flying in, and if you go way back, John Glenn, he named his capsule that he flew in Friendship 7, right? So everybody was wondering whether or not these two astronauts would have a special name for their Crew Dragon, and they did. They named it Endeavour. You know why? It's because they both flew on their first shuttle missions aboard the space shuttle Endeavour. So a little bit of history there for you.
They've been long friends for years, too. 20-plus years, right? So makes sense. All right, answering your questions this morning about some of the things that you've had to put off because of the virus.
What you need to know if some of those tasks involve visiting the tax collector's office. And I have that for you next.
It is 10 minutes before 8 o'clock, and starting this morning, most Duval County tax collector offices will be open except the downtown and Marietta offices starting today. Many of you have been calling us during the pandemic, telling us that you're having trouble getting through on the phone to renew your tags and your licenses, maybe get a registration as well. It's why we have asked Jim Overton, the Duval County tax collector, to join us this morning via Zoom. Mr. Overton, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
So I want to point out also, when you and I spoke on Friday, it was just the Marietta office that was going to remain closed, but you had to make a last-minute decision over the weekend as a result of the protests?
Yeah, we have to close the downtown office for today. Now, we'll be working the phones and the internet pretty heavily, but the downtown office will be closed. The one at the Ball building is also going to be closed. That's a very small office that we just use for the building and zoning department.
And did you have any damage to either of those buildings as a result of the protests?
No, we have not.
So the decision was made because you just are concerned about maybe staff being injured for whatever reason?
Well, we have the mayor's got a curfew going, and then for the downtown area, they've asked that we not have people downtown if we don't have to. So we're just going to have our some skeleton staff down. Everybody else is going to be in the branch.
So we did receive another call this morning from a man who has been frustrated, as have many. As you are aware, we talked about this on Friday, about the fact that they call the tax collector's office and they just can't get through on the phone. Can you explain why that's the case and what's being done to fix it?
We have a very limited call center. We historically not had more than about 10 people that we use for our call center, because that's not the basis of our business. The basis of our business is in the branches. So the call center has been swamped, and we just haven't had the personnel. And this is the first day, really, the city's been back to work. So we just haven't had the personnel to man the call centers. And then as we put these branches back in business, we just don't have the people. So that's why we're jammed on the phones. Really the best way to get us is to email us or use the internet. Now we're taking appointments for branch visits now. So you can't just walk into a branch like you historically have been able to do. You have to have an appointment. That's how we're metering the flow. We're kind of slowly getting these branches back up to business as we go.
I want to point out to our viewers also, as you're speaking, Mr. Overton, that there is a website that you can go to, or an email at the bottom of the screen. It's duvaltaxcollect.net. There's also a phone number that you can try to call. Do you think that more people, for those who don't have access to a computer as an example, do you think that more people will be able to get through on the phone? I mean, what do they do if they don't have access to a computer?
Well, today's going to be a bad day for the phones, I can tell you that. So maybe tomorrow would be the best thing to try tomorrow. Most of the driver's licenses have, well, almost all of them have been extended, so you don't really have to have a driver's license right now. And tags can be done over the internet. If you don't have internet access, you can try to find a friend or something that can go help you on the internet, because the tags are easily done on the internet. Titles are a little more difficult. Titles, particularly if it's an out-of-state title. And then driver's licenses, we're doing the best we can with driver's licenses, but the government did extend the driver's license deadline, so most people are in pretty good shape right now.
And we should also point out that do you even have any appointments available in the month of June right now?
Yeah, I made appointments for people on Friday, so I presume they are open. They open at 30 every morning. The next day opens. So if you're best to make an appointment early in the day. At 8 o'clock, there's a whole day of appointments available, and then people cancel, and then things move around quite a bit. So we've been able to accommodate a lot of people day of when something opens up.
Right. So don't give up. Don't give up if you can't get through. The point is, and you hear that there aren't any appointments, call back or try to go online because there are cancellations. Let me also, the drive-through windows, are those an option for everyone?
No, the drive-thrus are being used for the dealer work. We, all the car dealers in town have to go there, have their title work done by us. So we restricted the drive-thru dealers, and it's busy. Now, if you get in line and get stuck in a line, a couple of them have historically had more drive-thru traffic than others. Don't despair, but it's really not for you. It's just for the car dealer.
All right, so it's certainly frustrating, short-staffed, also trying to man the tax collector offices that are opening. Don't give up, I guess, is your message here this morning.
Right. Now, when you come in for your appointment, don't come in early. 10 minutes before the appointment time, you'll come in, you'll sit in the open room. We'll have just a few chairs. You have to wear a mask. The staff. And the staff has their temperature measured that morning, so we're pretty sure that the staff doesn't have the virus. So we're just trying to distance everybody and kind of go at this a little slowly while this coronavirus is still around. The other thing I would mention, if you don't have on your driver's license, here's my driver's license. If you don't have this little gold star up in the corner, that means you're not ID compliant under the federal law, and there's a list.
You got to talk.
And there's been an extension also as well. So and we'll continue to tell our viewers about that. Jim Overton, thank you for joining us, the tax collector.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Bruce.
Major League Baseball season could extend past Thanksgiving if the players have their way. The Players Union proposing a 114-game schedule. Opening day would be June 30th, and regular season would end on Halloween. It's 5 weeks past the season's original schedule. Team owners had proposed an 82-game schedule, but that would include steep cuts to player pay, which the players don't want. And hundreds of graduating seniors raced toward their futures over the weekend.
Certainly did. Daytona International Speedway invited several Florida schools to hold their graduation ceremonies at the racetrack. Seniors from all over the area, Matanzas, Flagler, Palm Coast, First Baptist Christian Academy, they received their diplomas at the track. How cool. Students also completed a 2.5-mile victory lap around the famous speedway. So great. Congratulations to them. 8 o'clock hour starts after the break.